Hello there, I am Shubraniel. I will be your tutor for today's class. Welcome to the second episode of our GMAT course. In our first class, we learned about the GMAT exam, its features, the advantages of appearing in the GMAT exam, the reasons that reputed courses will ask for your GMAT score in the admission process, and the worthy alternative courses that do not require a GMAT score. Hope you have liked the video. However, if you have missed the first class, you can follow the link above to explore the nitty-gritty of the exam. In today's class, I promise that we will be solving not just one but two GMAT problems together. I know that this is going to be an exciting session for both of us. The challenge is to get both the question correct in the first attempt. It won't require special GMAT skills to solve the first one, I promise. All you will need to do is to think critically. Okay, enough being said, I would request you to stick to the end of the class for the problem. Let's see whether you have got what it takes to be a top scorer.
Hello, I am Rituparna. I will be your second tutor for today's session. As we know, the GMAT exam comprises 4 important segments. The first one is the Analytical Writing Assessment, or the AWA, which measures your ability to think critically and to communicate your ideas. The second segment is the Integrated Reasoning segment, or the IR, which measures your ability to analyze data and evaluate information present in multiple formats. The third segment is the Quantitative Reasoning section, where your ability to analyze data and draw conclusions using reasoning skills is tested. And finally, the Verbal Reasoning segment. It measures your ability to read and understand a written material. In today's video, we will start understanding the first 2 important segments of the GMAT examination. The Analytical Writing Assessment, or the AWA, and the Integrated Reasoning segment, or the IR. Let's start to explore the segments one after the other without wasting time anymore. The first segment is the Analytical Writing Assessment test. With 30 minutes in hand and 1 question to answer, you will need to present your analytical abilities in this segment. The score of this segment ranges from 0 to 6 with 0.5 increments. Your score on this segment will separately be generated from your actual GMAT score. A score above 4 or 5 is considered a good score in the segment. The AWA score doesn't impact your GMAT score and is considered a separate segment in the overall GMAT test.
Let's try an example question of this segment and try to understand the ways to answer the segment. Please feel free to pause the video and read the question. Also, you can try to answer the question by yourself. Let's see how constructive can you get while analyzing a given situation. Okay, so are we ready? I will guide you through the rules of writing an AWA question. The first step to writing an exceptional AWA answer is not to jump into the solving phase directly, but to understand and critically analyze the facts. Let's analyze the question first. The question states that there are 2 regions, Beaumont and Fletcher, that are showing rapid growth compared to other regions. The argument is to build connections between these 2 regions, so that the losses from the main passenger routes can be prevented. Forward, the question states that AWA, most probably the organization that controls the transit routes, should offer a 1/3 discount on tickets that would be non-refundable and will come out to be highly profitable. This is all we have got from the argument. The GMAT expects us to use logical reasoning and critical thinking to understand the given situation and provide useful remarks as a manager. Keep in mind that this is the first step that you will take towards your managerial career. All you will need to do is provide useful justifications using critical thinking.
Before jumping directly to conclusions, it will be wise of you to understand the information clearly. I hope that you have understood the question correctly. Let's find out whether you have really understood the question or not through another simple question. I will ask you a question related to the argument. But the condition is that you are not allowed to revisit the argument after you have seen the question. However, please feel free to go through the AWA question one more time before looking at the question, just to be double sure. You can again pause the video at this stage to have a thorough look at the question stem.
Since you are back, here is the question. What is meant by avoiding losses in the main passenger routes? You have got just a minute to answer this. Think about it, I will wait for your answer. Did you get what the author means by avoiding losses? Here is the answer. The argument hints at the fact that there may be monetary or time losses for passengers willing to take the main passenger route. Maybe it takes more time to reach Beaumont from Fletcher through the main passenger routes than it would take if one used the proposed connection routes. Or maybe there are too many toll booths on the main passenger routes. We aren't sure about the type of losses, but we are sure about the fact that there are losses associated with the main passenger routes. This is the reason for consumers willing to buy discounted but non-refundable tickets through direct connectivity between Beaumont and Fletcher. Did you catch this in the first place? Or did it skip your mind? Let's be honest with ourselves. Did you analyze the question just like the way we did here? If your line of conceptualization aligns with what we discussed over here, then congratulations. You are on the right track, and with minimal practice, you are going to ace the analytical writing assessment section. If by any means your mind skipped this important piece of information while reading, then don't get disappointed. You are not the first one and certainly not the last one with such mistakes. The main idea that we wanted to present over here is the fact that whenever you are reading something, please put in efforts to analyze a statement. It's a way of effective reading, and it will save the day on your actual examination. Surprisingly, you will have just 10 minutes to understand the question and analyze it. Rest 20 minutes goes into writing a well-structured answer. Worry no more, we at Eventide International can assure you that it takes a bit of practice, and you will be able to cultivate the habit of effective reading.
The second step is to present your ideas in a well-structured format. The best method is to use a writing template to answer this question. The writing template is a format of writing in an organized manner. We would suggest answering the question by dividing your complete answer into different segments. The first segment allows you to restate the argument so that the examiner understands that you have completely understood the question. You should be clear with the argument that you are discussing and supporting evidence that has been mentioned in the question. The next 3 segments of the answer are where you discuss the evidence and the justification of each. Finally, in the 5th segment, you should conclude by providing a final verdict on what you feel is missing and any wrong assumptions made in the argument.
In the AWA section, you may find that it is very easy to support the argument through the pieces of evidence given in the argument. However, you must be neutral and critical in analyzing the question. The trick is how to criticize an argument, in case you don't want to support the idea. You must have at least one piece of criticism included in your answer. But we haven't given you an example of this. Let's learn how to do that through this question. You can again pause the video here and think of situations where the argument fails. Just keep in mind that you can't assume situations that aren't backed by evidence provided in the argument. Are you done with the criticism part? Were you able to think of 1 or 2 situations where the argument fails? Okay, let us see how this is done. Herein we are given that 2 regions have shown significant growth compared to other regions. It is concluded that we need to build connections within these 2 regions to minimize losses. Firstly, you can see that there is no substantial evidence of whether a connection between these 2 regions will effectively minimize the losses. This is just a claim and not an evidence-backed fact. In your actual test, you will need to identify the difference between a claim and a fact. Secondly, it has been said that AWA should give discounted tickets to gain profit. However, there has been no evidence regarding the cost of operations in the regions. For example, the main passenger routes can be more profitable if discounted tickets are issued on proposed connecting routes. Also, the no-refund policy may discourage commuters to take the new route. Hence, it can be concluded that operating with discounts and a no-refund policy may not necessarily result in profitability. Remember, you are expected to think critically and present relatable data from the given question stem. In the 5th segment, the conclusion part of the template, it is expected that you provide a summary of your final remarks, criticism, and respective conclusion. Isn't it fascinating that we have solved the first question together? Now we know what the AWA means and how do we need to approach the questions. We have taken the first step towards the mighty mountain named the GMAT. I know that through the previous section you have understood the importance of critical thinking and analyzing skills in the test. In the next part of the video, we will explore another important segment of the GMAT test called integrated reasoning. At this point, you can take a break and come back for the next segment with a fresh mind.
The second segment of the GMAT exam is the integrated reasoning test, or the IR. You will be provided 30 minutes to solve 12 questions, the question types being graphical interpretation, table analysis, multi-source reasoning, and two-part analysis. Using your mathematical skills, we will need to derive information from the provided data. Let's go to an example question directly. Feel free to pause the video again here and understand the question. Remember, there are 12 questions that have to be solved within 30 minutes. So, effectively you have got 2.5 minutes per question. However, since this is our first question, you are allowed to spend 3 minutes solving the question. Okay, let's solve this together. The question states that for 8 consecutive years starting from 2001 to 2008, the graph provides us information on the difference between the monthly temperature of the year and the mean monthly temperature of the troposphere. Did you catch the twist here? Understand that the question has not provided straightforward data. The graph doesn't give you the temperature of the troposphere. Instead, it gives the difference between the mean temperature for the 8 years and the temperature of a particular month of a year. The integrated reasoning demands a very careful reading ability, and we have seen students starting to solve the integrated reasoning questions without even reading the question properly. In this case, it is very possible to mistakenly take the dots as the monthly temperature instead of the difference mentioned in the question. Hence, careful reading is very important in this segment. Half your battle is won if you read the question carefully. Okay, let's move on to the question given. It asks which of the following options will be most helpful to carry out a comprehensive study on the fluctuations in the mean temperature for the 8 years. So, you will need to analyze each option carefully and find the correct option in this case. Again, we recommend that you pause the video here and solve the question by yourself, in case you haven't done it till now.
Are you ready with the answer? Okay, let's check the solution. Let's start with the first option. It says that another similar graph that mentions the months on the horizontal axis will be more helpful. You can see that even though the month is not mentioned in the horizontal axis, still the month is very much clear from the dots. Having month mentioned on the horizontal axis will not help us anymore. So, option A is out. Let's move toward the second option. The second option states a greater range on the vertical axis will help us give a comprehensive analysis on the deviation from the mean temperature. However, we can see that all the data points have been placed within the range of the vertical axis. Increasing the range of the vertical axis will no longer help us for a comprehensive study. So option B is out. The third option states having information on additional atmospheric characteristics will help us in our understanding of the decrease in the mean temperature. Although this seems to be a very catchy option, we will need to understand that we are only concerned about the decline in mean temperature. Having information about additional factors will not help us in our comprehensive study on the decline of the mean temperature. So, option C is out. The final option states that having tropospheric temperature readings from other satellites will help in our study of temperature variation. Indeed, temperature data from other satellites will help us to compare the data from the satellite with the data from other satellites. If the mean temperature has declined, then results from other satellites will show a similar pattern. This is our correct option, and we will move forward with option D. If this was what you opted, then congratulations. You have successfully solved your first integrated reasoning question. Your line of thinking aligns correctly with all the steps of solving an integrated reasoning question. However, chances are that you might have got both the AWA question and the integrated reasoning question wrong. Doesn't matter, buddy. Don't lose hope. We at Untitled International have seen students improving from a 570 to a 730. All they had was patience and honest efforts. The dream was always there for them, just like you. We promise you that with the well-structured and effective teaching methods at Untitled International, you will be able to do it in no time. Remember, the aim is to work smart, not to work hard.
Eventide International is a one-stop solution for all your admission requirements. We have separate in-house teams of expertise right for your exam preparation to your admission process. Our test prep services are based on proven techniques and carefully planned, keeping in mind the time limitations of an applicant. We offer customized detailed study plans so that you can organize your preparation with a fixed schedule. Our guide will help you achieve your desired score most efficiently. You can either opt for prepackaged video lectures or dedicated one-to-one coaching. With our mock tests, explanations, and guides, you will have a plethora of resources. Apart from test prep, Eventide International also provides profile evaluation services, career counseling services, admission support, scholarship and funding services, loans and financial services, passport and visa assistance, and post-enrollment services. We ensure that all your requirements are fulfilled through a hassle-free process. Please feel free to visit our website www.eventideinternational.com to know more about how we can help with the admission process. Wish you a fantastic and happy admission journey.